Well, hey, how you doing? It's me, Jim from Millennium County Trains, or Millennium County Railroad, whatever. I haven't done anything in a while, so I thought I'd pop in the train room and see what's going on. So, um, let me turn this thing around and we'll see. I'll tell you what. Alright, so I got this in the mail yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, Monday. It's from Scenic something. I don't remember. I'll tell you, my mind's going. Um, anyway, it's some grass tufts. I don't know if you can really see them all that well, but I'm actually going to be putting them. But I need to clean this room again. I'm going to be putting the grass tufts in there. That's going to represent like a field. And I've got to put a road in and bring it across and well underneath and then join it into this road over here. Yeah, well, that's the plan. I might start working on that tomorrow, I think. Oh, there's Buddy. Hey, Bud. Buddy likes train room too. Other than that, I really haven't done anything. I'm still waiting to get my engine shed from Prose's. I still have an empty space there. They said June, but I'm not holding my breath. Of course, the month's not over yet, so we'll see. What else? I haven't done anything. I actually haven't even been in this room for nearly a week. So, I just got stuff scattered all over the place. So I'm going to have to get organized again. And go from there. I also think I'm going to start working on the pass-through for the freight line too. Now that the passenger line bridge is done, I can start on that. And I'm also having problems with my track cleaning car. Apparently there's some drive issues going on there. I'm not quite sure why yet. I may have to abandon that one and make a new one. And I'm working on some different ideas for that too. But because the one thing I'm going to need here is to clean all the tracks. I mean, these tracks have been down for a while and haven't really been run on. So they're probably pretty dirty, dust and what have you. So I need to get a reliable train cleaning car that's self-powered. And I looked and I haven't found anything that's self-powered. I don't think they even make such a thing. Which is so weird because you'd think somebody would have come up with one by now, but there's nothing commercially available. So we'll have to work on that. I think when I get one that I'm really happy with, I'm going to start manufacturing and selling them. Because I can see this as a boon for track cleaning. So I'll do well, it won't be a tutorial, but I'll do a short video on that when I do get something running. And we'll demonstrate it, actually cleaning the track. So look forward to that. That's going to happen soon too. Let's see what else. I ever show you my jigsaw puzzles? I've got several of them on the walls. I actually did build these myself. Now, well, you can see them with all the light glare, but I like them. I thought they're a nice addition. Oh, and that clock, that's supposed to represent, sort of, a steam locomotive drive wheel a little bit. I actually printed that on the 3D printer, and it keeps excellent time. If it is off by any, it's just a few seconds a year or whatever, but I haven't had to reset it yet. And it always seems to be exactly the same time as my computer, so I'm happy. And I got a couple little signs up here. Beware of trains that I printed also on the printer. Station house, that was printed on the printer. And that sign actually I've had for many, many years. It was not printed on the printer. Oh, and you gotta see this one. I know you guys are gonna love this. I found this online and I had to buy it. And I don't know if there's, let me turn the light on here. This one here. This is actually on the door of my train room. I think it's great. So, everybody should have one of these on their train room door. So, let's see what else. Oh, there's the Doodle Lake Nude Beach. Still looking good. Oh, man. Yeah, I've been out of the train room a little too long, probably. Let's see. Oh, there we go. There's something we could talk about briefly. I don't know if it'll make anybody mad or not, but if it does, so be it. Yeah, it is what it is. I was watching a video on one of the train places I subscribe to. And see if I can get this. Lower that a little bit. I don't have the tripod out yet, so there we go. So anyway, I was watching it, and it was an English thing. I don't remember the name of the site, but I think it's Low Budget Trains or something. I know I gotta make some people mad on this, I'm sure, but hey. Anyway, they were doing grass, and it was a poor man's way to do static grass without a static applicator. So I wrote in and I thought, well, you know, if you're going to do this, you should really concentrate on realism. If you want static grass, you should invest in a static grass applicator or make one or something. So the guy kind of wrote me a note back and said, well, you know, I thought the train was all about fun and not about detail. And people obsess about that or, you know, got problems. And I'm going, okay, well. And there may be some truth to that. But you know what? I got to thinking about it. And not everybody may agree, and that's fine because I'm no expert on this. But you know what? And I'm not a rich man either, okay? I have to save money for some of the things I buy. I have a static grass applicator. I think I actually showed it off here. Yeah, there it is. I paid $60 for this. And I did static grass over there in the nude lake section, and I'll tell you what, I love it. It gives you a very realistic touch to your grass. Because before that, I used to just, you know, sprinkle the flocking on there with, you know, after gluing it, and it's like, okay, it looked more like felt than it did grass. And it was okay, but, you know, it lacked that realism, that touch that I thought really needed. So basically my point is this. If you're in this hobby, okay, you've got two ways to go. If you just want to watch your trains run around in circles, well, you know, that's cool. That's your thing. And you don't need realism for that because you're obviously, you know, just enjoy watching the trains go around in a circle. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, for a lot of us hobbyists, we want a little bit more. And most of the sites that I've looked at and people that I've talked to that, you know, have trains as a hobby, and even other hobbies outside of model railroading, there's always that push to get some detail. And I don't think it's obsessive. Well, I hope not anyway, but that's part of the fun. I enjoy making things look realistic. When I string the power lines on the power poles, I'm one of the few people that do that. Most people have the power poles up and no lines. I'm going, okay, well, that's fine. And maybe they just haven't gotten to it yet, or I don't know, they think it's okay, just leave. And it is, because there's no right or wrong in this hobby, but me personally, and I'm not obsessive with anything, I just enjoy the detail. I buy engines and I spend a little bit more money for them sometimes because they have greater details than the cheap ones. You can go out and buy an Atlas engine or a Bachmann engine and they're fine, but they lack the detail of, say, scale trains or Athearn or MTL, you know. And yeah, you're going to pay more for the other engines, but you're getting more. So I would rather not buy something and save up the money a little bit longer to get something that looks better, that has more detail, and will enhance my layout. Now, mind you, there's a lot of things in my layout that are not very realistic, I guess. They're not professionally done because, I'm an amateur hobbyist. But I still strive for it. And anything I can do, any trick that I pick up or learn from you guys, some of them, I'm going to try and duplicate on my railroad. And I think that's the greatest part of the hobby. And of course, as I stated, I think, I wrote in one of them, I think on that same site, that, a good hobby never realizes completion. And railroading is that way. You never really finish your railroad layout. If you do, you didn't put much thought into it or you're super rich. Well, I'm not super rich, so. But, about the time I actually finish this layout, I'll figure out, oh, maybe I want to do this instead, and I'll take out a section and improve it or change it or add to it. There's always things to be done. And there's always those details. I may have a particular building or whatever that's on my layout and it looks okay. But I may wake up one day and, I'd really like to detail that out. Maybe need to add some machinery or some, weathering or something. There's always something to do. And it was kind of, it didn't make me mad, but, it just seemed to me like, this guy that wrote to me in the first place said, well, railroading's about fun and that's all it is. Well, fun is, I'm not sure what the term is for it, but it's not an absolute, okay? Fun can be described in many different ways. For me, fun is realism. For a lot of hobbyists, fun is realism. Doing something to stand out from everybody else. That's not obsession. That's just having fun and doing the best you can. And you know what? You can't always do things on the cheap. And I guess that's the bottom line. And, I felt, this guy, he had this, it sort of works, but it doesn't. I mean, to me, and I hate to make fun of people, but, because I know I'm going to make people mad again, but, taking your food container, rubbing it on your head to create static electricity, and then dropping the flocking material. I mean, that's probably not going to work. I mean, it works good with balloons, but, balloons are a different material. So, I mean, it's almost pathetic when you get down to it. And like I said, I don't want to take a lot of heat for this, and that's fine. Because I'm one of the people where I like to say what's on my mind regardless. And I enjoy my hobby. I enjoy model railroading. And it may be a long time before this ever sees anything near completion, and that's fine. Because a good hobby keeps you engaged for a very long time. And if it doesn't, it's not a very good hobby. Or you took too many shortcuts and you're not realizing the full potential of the hobby. And there's a lot of guys out there, I've seen your layouts, on the videos, and you're just starting, and that's cool. And it may be years before you get to where you want to be. And that's cool too, because you know what? That's half the fun. Most of the fun of having a layout is building it. Because after all is said and done, you can have operating sessions, which is also fun, I'm sure. But it's like going to work at a factory, You get there at 9 o'clock, you punch in this and this and this and this, and you do the same thing day in and day out. At the end of the day, you clock out and you go home and you eat, you sleep, and you start again the next day. That's what an operating session is sort of like, I would think. Because once again, most layouts are kind of limited on what you can actually do on them. And I'm not saying that, operating sessions are bad, because they're not. I'm sure they'll be fun, and I hope to be doing it on mine at some point. But really, the best part of this hobby is building it, and using your imagination and spending a little extra money to get something that's a little bit better than, what might be available here or there. We have a hobby shop in town, been there forever. They have a fairly good selection of train stuff, but it's all the generic stuff. I don't want generic stuff. I want stuff that's different. I want custom-made stuff. I want stuff that I build with my own hands. And I would imagine that most hobbyists in this field feel the same way I do. I think they do anyway. And from what I've seen, well, you guys are really creative. You come up with some beautiful, beautiful things that you can't buy anywhere, I was looking at a video today, it's just from Rodent, RRD and NT. I don't mean to, I Rodent because it pops in my head. But he was showing a video on, what do you call them? I can't even think of it now. It'll come to me in about a week or two. Billboards. And he did a beautiful job creating 2 of them on his own. This is not something you can buy, because the ones they sell you, they're okay, but it's not the same. So this guy, I forgot his name, so I'm sorry, because I'm really bad with names, but it's RDNT Railroad. I think it's Rob Zenscale and something there, I'm not sure. He did an absolutely beautiful job on his billboards, and I was looking at it, and I asked him to do a tutorial on it because I want to build something for myself at some point. And realistically, I don't have a clue on how to do it because I haven't thought about it, but looking at his, I'm going, yeah, that would look good. So, and I think we help each other that way. And, that makes the hobby also enjoyable. But, and I guess my biggest problem is people that do things on the cheap, not necessarily because they have to, but because they want to, or because they think it's okay. And I'm probably making a big mess out of this whole speech, but if you're that cheap, maybe this isn't the hobby for you. Yes, it's an expensive hobby. I got a ton of money tied up in mine, and I'm not even near completion yet. It's not hard to wind up with thousands of dollars tied up in something like this. And, but that's the deal. And they say a good hobby is one that breaks the bank. And believe me, I'm pretty sure that's true. If I wanted a cheap hobby, I go out there and, take pictures of birds out in nature. That's a cheap hobby. You buy a decent camera, the rest is free. Yeah, actually, that's what my wife, she takes pictures of all kinds. I bought her a very nice Nikon, and and she's enjoying it, and that's her hobby, and it's very good for her. But it's an expensive hobby because A, she doesn't have the money to get into an expensive hobby, and B, I don't either. I tie enough money of my own money up in my hobby. I can't afford to support hers. But I did buy her a very expensive camera, and she loves it, and she's getting very good at it. So I'm very happy about that. So I'm saying there is a place for everything, but in the model railroad world, I don't think that cheap is necessarily the way to go. I mean, if you don't want to spend $60 on a static applicator for grass, that's your choice. But coming up with a half-baked solution, and I'm being nice here, that's not the answer either. Because you know what? It didn't look right. It looked just like you're gluing the ground and throwing flocking down. If anything was standing up, it was by pure luck. But it's not the same as actually standing grass. You know? And I said, it's not necessarily a bad thing to do things cheaply, but to brag about it, now that's a little different, okay? And if I saw two layouts and one guy had a really realistic layout and the other guy had a thrown together layout, well, you know which one I'm going to vote for, right? And I said, I'm probably going to make some people mad, and so be it. I don't care. You know what? I have another saying. When you get old, you've earned the right to piss people off. So, but like I said, I've seen some amazing things out there in the hobby that a lot of you guys do. I'm very impressed with it, and it's given me good ideas. And I would rather get ideas like that than have somebody go, well, here's a way to do this half-assed, but you'll save a bunch of money. I'm not interested in saving money. I'm interested in getting my hobby done to a level that I can stand back and say, this is a great hobby. I did a great job, and I'm proud of my work. And hopefully other people will look at my work and say the same thing, that, it looks good. So, before I completely bury myself, I'm going to shut up because, like I said, I'm sure some of you are probably going to be writing in going, you're an idiot, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. You're entitled to your opinion, good, bad, or indifferent. It won't make me mad because, I don't care. But I just wanted to point that out because, in my 3-part video on the bridge install, in one part I actually took a few minutes and talked about some of the equipment I bought to make the hobby better for me, like the track saw, and I have a mini skill saw, bell sanders, a ballast tool for the track, and these things, yeah, they're expensive, but in the long run, you get a much more detailed and better looking layout. And that's what I want. Because I'll tell you something. And I'm going to dig up those pictures. And in fact, if I can dig them up to put on this video, I will. My very first layout was N scale. And that was about 10 or 11, 12 years ago. I'm not even sure now. But in this very room, it was very small. It was on a 4x6 table. Or sheet of plywood. And it was okay. But I knew literally nothing about the hobby. I mean, I jumped into it completely blind. And looking back at that, looking at what I have now, the difference is night and day. And of course, I tried to save money thinking, well, I don't want to spend a bunch of money here because, I don't have a lot to spend, and I really didn't. So I did a lot of things, for lack of a better term, half-assed. And it showed, I'm sure some of you guys are really nice. Oh, he does a pretty good layout, but it really wasn't. All right, it was made on the cheap, and it was, for me, it was kind of more of a learning experience than anything else. But I didn't take any real pride into it because it wasn't all that, you know. So, like I said, it all comes down to individual choices. For those who want, you know, that are satisfied with a budget layout, that's fine. But you shouldn't, and I know most of you would, but this guy literally kind of came down to me saying, well, you know, you're too big for your britches. You have more money than God, so you think your layout's better than everybody else. I never said that. I just said I thought that it would be better to take a little more time, save up a few more dollars, and buy the proper tool to get the job done right. You know? I mean, I know for some people, $60 is a lot of money. Hell, it's a lot of money for me. You know? I didn't just run down the bank, draw out $60, and I think I'll buy this. I have to put money together too, and sometimes it takes weeks or even months to save up money to buy something that I really want. And that's fine. You know, of course, the bad part of that is I'm stalled on the layout until I buy this thing. You know, but so be it. But that's, you know, look, I don't want to finish my layout anytime soon. Then what am I going to do? You know? And keep in mind, like I said, I'm on the 7th or 8th or whatever iteration of this layout. And mostly because I was unhappy with the previous ones. Now, some of you might say, well, that guy's obsessed with things. Well, I'm not. But I do know what I want, and I wasn't getting what I wanted. And plus, you know, as an amateur, I wasn't really sure what to do. I made a lot of mistakes. And there's nothing wrong with that either, but I admit my mistakes. You know, there's some guys, well, you know, it wasn't really my fault. No, it was because you're the one building it. Own your successes and own your losses. So here I am, 7th iteration, I think it's the 7th. And I'm finally sort of happy with what I got. I mean, you know, it's coming along. Of course, keep in mind I do have a smaller room than I'd like. I'd love to have a basement or an attic. That's 5 times bigger than this room, but I don't. And I'm not selling my house to get a bigger one just so I could have a train room. As much fun as that would be, it's not a good idea. So, and because, you know, I don't have money falling out of orifices that we won't talk about. But, you know, based on what I have available and what I'm doing, I'm very happy with this. And I think this is the greatest hobby in the world. You know? And prior to this, I used to build cars. I mean, real cars, you know. Someday I get really bored. If you guys are interested, I'll show you some of the cars I built. You know, not many of them, obviously, because they're time-consuming and very, very expensive. But, you know, I had 2 one-of-a-kind cars that you'll never see anywhere that I hand-built. Can't do that anymore because, you know, I'm getting old. And that pesky stroke I had back in '07, well, that pretty much finished me for doing that kind of work anymore. So this is something I'm capable of doing, and I'm having fun doing it. My wife thinks I'm nuts because I spend way too much money on it, but, you know, that's the nature of the hobby. If you don't want to spend a bunch of money on your hobby, don't do model railroading. It's not for you. Like I said, buy a camera, take pictures of birds, or whatever. Yeah, because this is an ongoing expense. And I'm pretty sure that most of you out there that have layouts such as mine or whatever are going to agree with me that they're very expensive. And but that's what gives you the pleasure in them. And I've seen you guys do some amazing things on your layouts. And I'm going to do some amazing things on mine. You know, it's going to take a little longer because I'm not rich. So the next time, somebody out there thinks I'm just being, snooty or whatever, I'm not, because I'm just another poor guy, engaged in a hobby that I realize is, time consuming and expensive, but that's just the way it is. So, with that said, I'm going to shut up before you guys start coming to my house with torches and pitchforks, it wouldn't be good. So, anyway, that's the situation of my layout. As soon as I start working on it again, I'll do another video, hopefully in the next few days. And we'll get that up. But in the meantime, I just wanted to let you know I'm still kicking. Just not as hard and only with 1 foot instead of 2. And we'll go from there. So, anyway, I hope I clarified myself on this whole, hobby thing. So, anyway, that's all I got to say. So, I'll be back again real soon, so keep an eye open. I hope you're subscribed already, and I hope you ring the, you do the bell thing so that you'll be notified when I do these crazy videos. Yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.